The Greeks believed that all the heavenly bodies are perfect spheres and are moving on the surfaces of perfect spheres in uniform circular motions. When Galileo pointed the telescope towards the moon, he found out that the moon is far from perfect. He noted many craters, kind of mountains and valleys. Okay, so I'll show next the actual present-day photograph of the moon. So you can see some huge poke marks, impact craters, spots where the moon was struck by some other large body orbiting the solar system. There are also these dark areas, so-called maria, which is the Latin for seas. Basically what they are is when the moon and the Earth system were formed, the moon also had a molten interior, just like the Earth has now, but because it is a small body, it lost its heat rather quickly. So it solidified. Smaller bodies lose internal heat more quickly because they have larger surface to volume ratio. The surface scales as a linear dimension squared, volume as a linear dimension cubed, surface over volume goes as 1 over the diameter of the body, right? So smaller the body, the larger the surface to volume ratio. You know that. If you bake the potato and you want to eat it quickly, you don't want to wait for it to cool off. What you do, you chop it up into smaller pieces. Each small piece has larger surface to volume ratio. It loses heat more quickly, and as a result, its temperature drops. So being a small body, moon lost its internal heat more quickly, but at some point it had a molten interior. So and also crust formed over that molten interior. So when the moon was struck by other bodies, it punctured the crust, and the hot lava, the molten material from within, came up to the surface and filled up these areas, right? Creating these so-called seas, maria. Okay? But at the time, the point was that moon is far from being a perfect object. The next thing that, in fact, was even more important is that when he pointed a telescope to planet Jupiter, so here is the modern day photograph of Jupiter, probably obtained from one of the flybys by Voyager. He discovered that there are bodies revolving around Jupiter. Okay? So that showed that Earth cannot be the only thing about which other bodies are revolving. There is other stuff out there, like the planet Jupiter, which has satellites that are revolving around it. And here you can see one of these, now called after Galileo, Galilean satellites, Io. You can see it here in the view, right? And here is the Earth drawn for a comparison in terms of the size, right? So you can see that Jupiter is much, much bigger than our planet. It's about 11 times, its diameter is about 11 times the diameter of the Earth. And here are the photographs of all 4 large satellites of Jupiter: Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. And here is the photograph of our moon, just like the one that I showed you before, so that you can appreciate how big they are, or how do they compare to our moon, right? Basically, Io is comparable in size to our moon. They turn out to be very different, but that's a separate story that we might talk about in Astronomy 1P02 when the solar system is covered, right? But the important thing is that he discovered that other bodies out there have their own companions that are revolving around them.